Alright, today we're going to be working on a Moen sink. We're going to see what's the causing problem to that led me to want to change the cartridge in there. I've changed this once before and it was leaking from here. That isn't the problem now, even though it's leaking there now, right there, but that isn't the problem. The problem is when we turn this on, water starts to come out of this area here, and we have damage back here in the backsplash, and it's getting down in the sink. So the first thing we're going to do is turn the water off. On the bottom, we're going to turn off the hot and cold water. We're going to run this, make sure it's on. Alright, we already turned off the hot water, so you can test that. The first thing you're going to do is the little Moen button that's here. I already pried it out. We're going to remove that. But before we do go into the process of removing it, we're going to explain a little bit of the tools that are required to do this job. Okay, these are the tools that are required to change the cartridge on this Moen single handle faucet. It's not the double with the two knobs. This is a single handle faucet. Part number 1225. That's the cartridge we're gonna replace. So what we're gonna need is vice grips, flathead screwdrivers, in some people's household, a butter knife. If you don't have a flathead screwdriver, Phillips screwdriver, Allen key set, and of course the cartridge which you're gonna replace. The Moen cartridge, it cost at our Lowe's $19.99 was the price of the Moen cartridge. So if you could do this job yourself, you will be saving yourself a fair amount of money by not getting a local plumber to come out and do this for you. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to pry this out. I started it off with my nail. As you can see, it's already out, but I pulled it out with my nail a little bit. Then I did it with this butter knife, and I wiggled it out. I went up there and I pried it out like that. It was really stuck on there. Anyway, you need to take that plug off, or that Moen logo off, because that's where your Allen key screw is hidden. It's hidden behind there. So we're going to take that out. So we're going to take this out, pull it completely out, and pull this out. Now this came out easy now, but I had to pry on this pretty hard with the butter knife to take it off because it was seized in there. Okay, secondly, as you can see here, we got water damage. This is hollow, and even along here, that's gonna we're gonna have to repair that. But the next step is we're gonna take this top screw out. This is what you need your Phillips screwdriver for. Sorry about that. And this piece will come off. It's this piece there. Make sure you don't lose the screw. Oh, another thing, when you're doing sink work, make sure you have like the screens, or if you don't have any of these, put a paper towel or rag there so it doesn't your screws and stuff don't fall down the drain. Once we remove the screw, we're gonna unscrew this. Yours might be seized like mine was, and we're gonna unscrew that. As you can see, we got a lot of gook there. Next thing, we don't need to take that out. Now there's the cartridge. The next thing we're gonna do is, there's this pin right here. This small pin, this pin has to come out. Right there, you pull that pin out. Now you can take out the cartridge. Let's see if we could just pull it out with this. I already pulled it out. It was pretty stuck in there, so you're gonna have to use a lot of force. But you just pull the cartridge out. There it is. The package comes with this little key. This key could be inserted in here. Well, let me show you the new one. And when it's seized up, the way mine was, the old one, you put this key in there that comes with the package, and it has a square head on there. And you take your vice grips or your channel locks and you turn this, and what this does is it turns this cartridge and it breaks it free. That way it could be the removal is a much easier process. Okay, now we're just gonna reinsert the cartridge and put everything back together. Okay, and then once we push this in, this old, you see these two grooves here in the cartridge, they have to fall in between this gap and this copper piece that's part of the faucet. It has to go down in there. So once it's in there, you know it's seated well. We're gonna go ahead and replace the brass, the hardware that was in the other cartridge. We're gonna put this back on here the same way it was, the washer first, and then the blue plastic washer on top of that. Next thing, just clean this, wipe this down, get all that gunk off of there. Next thing, you can only put this cartridge in one way because these grooves have to fall in between there, so it'll automatically line up the holes for the valve, for the cartridge. And that's pretty much how it operates. You spin it to close it, and then for your hot and cold, and up and down to open and close it. So once that's done, you have to be careful with some of these, because some of these, they have the hot and label on there, and you have to make sure that you place these cartridges usually in the shower setting, that it's on the hot side and the cold is on the cold side. This cartridge, we then slide it back in here, right through there until it snaps. You just okay, I was having a little problem putting this clip in, and I noticed that it is a little bit bent, so this one here was sticking up and it's not allowing it to go in through its slot. So what I did, I pushed down on it with my screwdriver as I pushed in, and pushed down on this one, and let's see if it goes in. There you go, it went in. So you might have to play with this little clip. This retainer, it's what holds the cartridge in its place when you open the faucet. If that retainer wasn't there, when you lift the lever on the faucet like this, it will pull the whole cartridge back out, and you will have water running all over the place. So that clip is very, very important. Next thing we're gonna do is clean this collar off over here a little bit. And next thing you do, we're going to put this collar back on. Now, you don't want to tighten this too much, because if you tighten it too much, you won't be able to move this. So we're gonna tighten it down as much as we can, about right there, all the way, and then we're gonna back it out one whole turn. And basically, what you want, you see this groove, these grooves back here, that groove, this piece of this faucet, which we're gonna screw down in there, that little piece in there has to glide in there, it has a stop that way and it has a stop that way. So it's essential that this is in the back, that is placed in the back that way, not up here in the front like that, because then your handle is going to be facing that way. If you want your handle facing this way, this has to, that groove piece has to go at 12 o'clock on the back side. Then once we do that, we could put the collar back on. We'll put this collar back on. Now this collar has the screw that goes in there. But on the bottom side of this collar, you have that molded piece that goes to the, that has to be fitted into the top of the cartridge here. So you have to line that up, put that in there. At the same time, make sure that the piece in the back falls in its place, which it has. And we could tell that while we spin this, we could see the cartridge itself being spun inside there. You could see the cartridge, and you could see the cartridge itself is doing its function down in there. Okay, once you see that, that's our stop point right there, and then this is our stop point there. That's where you want it. Once we do that, we'll screw this down, put the screw back in here. Then we could put our handle back on. Put our screw. Put the Moen button back on. You gotta be careful with this, because this one, as I was taking it out, it broke. These things with age, they get brittle, and it breaks. So now we can turn the water on, check for leaks. We could tell it's kind of working already, because as you can notice, while we was filming the video, there was still water coming out, and now we don't see any water coming out. You see the water was coming out here in the collar. There's no water coming out anymore. Turn the hot water on. And voila. No leaks or anything. Looks good. Cold water, hot water, good. Alright guys, this wraps up this project on how to change a Moen single hand cartridge, part number 1225, and see you on the next one.